Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. I have a very special guest today. I've had him on the channel before,
Yes.
but so excited to be talking to you again. It's been a long time. Hi, Shawn.
Hey, hey. Hey, except this time we're not discussing Dino Land USA.
That's a great video. That every time that I see somebody bring up stuff about that land, I just like slip that link in there. And I'm like,
Well, I
check
it's
out this
it's
stuff.
good because every time I go by it, um, like I was there like last weekend, and I was like, oh, uh, what a what a wonderful land to talk about the effects of capitalism. I love it.
I wanted to have you back on because you went to Disney World recently,
Hmm. Yeah.
in this madness of 2020. And I obviously I follow you on Twitter. You're very active on Twitter. People follow
Oh,
you; they know
yeah.
that.
Very, very.
Um, and I thought it was really interesting that you had this perspective of maybe it isn't as bad as everyone says it is in terms of like crowds and social distancing issues and all of that. And I want to preface this by saying like this is something we talked about before we start recording. It's like, I mean, it is a little bit of a personal subjective thing, right? Like
Right.
what someone might feel is not crowded or might feel they can handle in the middle of this pandemic, someone else might be like, absolutely not, you know? And so I know for myself, you know, I haven't been down. A lot of people watch the channel know that. Partly because it also requires me getting on a plane. That's a whole other extra
Right.
step.
That's a whole new,
Right. That
yeah,
just adds more to
added
it.
piece.
Yeah. Um, and because personally, it's a little hard for me to wrap my brain around going somewhere where I think I think the fear, if you want to put it that way, is that it's a tourist destination where you have people from
Mhm.
all over, right? It's different if I'm just going out to my grocery store or somewhere local and I feel like okay, it's just local people, but it's like it's almost the same thing as when I go into Manhattan, which I have once or twice for doctor's appointments and I forget that like I grew up there, but it's a tourist attraction. People do come to the city from all over the place. And I guess there's that like, do you trust? Do you trust people coming from other areas? Do you trust people coming from places maybe there's more cases, whatever it might be? And so that's my own personal hang up a little bit with going. But I thought it was interesting that you went for Labor Day weekend, right?
Yeah, so it was right in the heart of the most busiest time of Disney. That's not, Christmas and
Right.
Thanksgiving, or New Year's. Like New Year's already, I can tell you, mm, if they continue doing the park reservations,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be as busy as it was like last year. Last year was so crowded.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's my first question is like, what is busy for Labor Day weekend in 2020? Because that's very different, I feel like, than Labor Day
So,
weekend of like, you know, normalcy.
uh, the thing that made things easier and better, for me, was the park reservation system. So
Okay.
what that is Disney's only allowing X amount of people to attend the parks. So even if you have your annual pass, like I have a platinum, so by all accounts, I am able to go at any given time and there's no blackouts. However, this time is you don't have the blackouts, but you also have to reserve that day. So there's only an X amount of people they can allow in the parks at once. So it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely like that ability of crowd control. I don't have the ability to just get up and go to the parks like I would, but knowing that if they can only allow 5,000 people, I know that number may be like higher than that, but if
Mm-hmm.
they're only allowing 5,000 people into the parks at any given time, whether you're gold, platinum, platinum plus, a resort guest, whatever, then the crowd control is manageable. Um, as far as like social distancing or waits on rides. So you're really not waiting a lot on each ride,
Yeah. And I assume
which
that
is good.
they, when they're, limiting however many people it is in a park per day, they
Mm.
very meticulously pick that number. Like they know what they can manage, when it comes to lines. And it's not like they just went, we're gonna pick we're gonna pick a random number of people and cap it off there. I feel
Right.
like there was a lot of planning before they decided to do this. Like, what is actually feasible? What can you actually do and have people still social distance?
Right. And you'll still have like people that it's like you'll feel like there's like pockets where there may not be a whole lot of social distancing, but at the same time, I can't just like, you go into a grocery store, like personally, I can't rely on the other person to social distance because
Yeah.
maybe they don't really see all this the way I see it. So if I'm taking that responsibility and I'm taking that step, then I can move my way back and have my, 6 feet of distance, which is okay. So that way, if I'm having, that 6 feet of distance, the person behind me is like, yo, he keeps backing up. I guess I'm going to back up.
Yeah.
It's pretty manageable from that standpoint. And plus, when you have, like, especially when it comes to gift shops, like the gift shops weren't all open. Like there was some gift shops that were closed. You had the Emporium that was open, like the big ones, but
Mm-hmm.
not all of them were open. Or if they were open, they stopped it at the door where they allowed only a certain amount of people to come in and out.
Right.
We saw that at the resort at Fort Wilderness. Like typically, I just walk right into the gift shop at Fort Wilderness. There's
Yeah.
not a whole lot of people there, but even then, you had to wait in line to get into to the gift shop in Fort Wilderness because they can only allow so many people in at once. Like, wow, that's pretty crazy. I didn't, it's those things that you got to take in consideration too. So I feel that having the park reservation system and having a set amount of guests there at a time, it definitely made things feel a lot safer. It didn't feel crowded at any given time. It was very manageable, especially Labor Day weekend. Especially Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
But you also get maybe a third of what Disney can offer.
Right. And I guess that's kind of my other question is like, I've been meaning to make a video on this, but I haven't yet. But I canceled my annual pass in August. I did. It was a very last minute decision because they were like, "Hey, if you're gonna cancel, you need to do it in the next 3 days." And I was like, "Oh, what am I gonna do?" And realistically, I looked at like how much time I had left. Was I really gonna go down? And also, is it worth it when there is limited experiences and when you can't park hop, right? Like that park reservation system is one park a day. So did you feel like you were like, oh, this still feels like a Disney vacation without fireworks, without park hopping, or was it, especially someone who's gone a lot, was it like noticeable for you?
You get some of the Disney experience. And I think like for me, the Disney experience is a very different term than a lot of people have.
Okay.
They want to be able to dine and eat at places or, meet and greet with characters and see the parades. There's so much immersion that's happening at the parks. A lot of that immersion is taken away, but it does return in very little forms. But I'll talk about that here. So you don't get to do the meet and greets the way you think. Like a lot of the meet and greets are kind of in random increments in sort of different areas. So, but not like, hey, I want to hug, characters. They're there, but not there. So when you leave like Space Mountain and they have that stage, what they've been doing is that they allow certain characters to go on that stage, so you can kind of get that like 6 foot selfie
Right.
with
I've seen a
which
lot of those.
which is kind of cool,
Hmm.
but kind of not cool, because again, you're not having that ability to like really hug or touch that
Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
but you also everybody gets kind of a part of that at once. And I think that is like a really cool piece is that
Mm.
like everyone's meeting that one character at once rather than having to wait in line. You're there. You're already there. You can get the selfie and move on. The other thing that they've been doing really cool is that you don't have the parades often, but they do have like these like cavalcades
Yeah, I've seen
that
in the
have
boats in
parks
like
like
Animal
yeah.
Kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah, so the boats at Animal Kingdom, they run that regularly. Uh, Epcot does like a Frozen like parade that happens that goes around World Showcase, which is actually really cool. Um, they have one at Hollywood Studios that happens pretty randomly, where they have that like car that comes through and it's Mickey and Minnie, and then that's awesome. Like you get to see these things, like these little tiny parades that makes it feel like, oh, this is normal, having that normal Disney experience without actually having that Disney experience. Going to see Tiki Room, for example,
Mm.
went to go see Tiki Room, which is a must, right? And you're sitting in the Tiki Room and knowing that like I'm gonna get up and go, but I don't have to meet the mad rush of people trying to exit at once. Like there's only
Right.
like 30 of us, so I can just show's over, cool, gone,
Yeah.
right? So it's really quick to maneuver out of places when you don't have that crowd. When you have a crowd of like Tiki Room and right, as soon as those doors open, everybody's trying to make their way out of it. And so you're waiting to get out of it and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
it sucks. But it's pretty good when you only have like 30 people in Tiki Room and they have space where you can sit. So it's almost like I have an experience of watching Tiki Room and it feels like it's just me rather than me and then this other guy who is like leaning on my shoulder and then there's somebody leaning on his shoulder.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, please keep the reservation system. I think they will. I'm praying that they do. Like even if the park comes back in full capacity,
Hmm.
leave the park
Would you
reservation system.
say with or without park hopping? Like, would you say like if they open park hopping, but we should still like say have to reserve 2 parks for the day?
So here's the thing about the park hopping. I didn't realize how much I don't miss it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So because park hopping is good, but I often try to justify why I'm park hopping all the
Mm.
time, and then you lose a little bit of like what is in the park that you're in now. And being able to stay in that one park in that one day, you can take in a lot of that park and be like, oh, I like this part about this park and this part about this park. And you really are like motivated to doing as much as you can in that one park at that one time.
Hmm.
So that way I don't be like, oh, let me ride Space Mountain and Splash Mountain or whatever. Now I'm gonna jump over to Hollywood Studios and let's go ride Tower of Terror and then jump on a Skyliner and head to Epcot, and we'll do this. You can make you make a lot of your day, park hopping. That's great, but having that one park and doing everything you can in that one park, it's a bit intimate
Yeah.
of just myself being in that park and in like, oh, okay, like here's this, here's this, here's this. The only bad side is that there's some like I'll say for merchandise you can only get like at the park at Magic Kingdom. Like we were really obsessive over a face mask, trying to find a Tiki Room face mask,
Okay.
and you can only find it in Magic Kingdom, but it's not at Hollywood Studios. It's not at Animal Kingdom. It's not at Epcot. It was only right there in Magic Kingdom. It's the only place that we found it. So it's like, oh, we can't go back to Magic Kingdom now. We lost it.
Right.
So,
Yeah, interesting
so
that they're still doing park exclusive merchandise
right,
in this
but
situation, but
right, and it's like all that merch should be in all the parks,
right.
but at the same time, it kind of gives you a little incentive of like, if you stay at this park, you have little perks that you can find in this park only. That Madame Leota sipper, of course, I'm gonna get it at Magic Kingdom. So I'm gonna just go to Magic Kingdom to get that
Yeah.
Madame Leota sipper. So I guess it's like, do I make a whole day out of going to Magic Kingdom and get the sipper? Now I can't get the sipper and then jump over to Hollywood Studios and enjoy my day. No, you have to. You got a
You gotta
decision to
commit.
make.
Yeah.
Gotta commit. So
How
I
bad do you
kind of
want
like it.
that sipper? Enough to just
Uh,
spend the whole day there?
yeah. Do you want that? Um, and and that's kind of what I liked about it. It's just like, if I'm gonna spend the whole day at that one park, I'm gonna spend the whole day at that one park.
Yeah.
But maybe if you're done early, then you just go home or go back to the resort and hang out.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
the
kind of what we
weird
did.
thing to me. Yeah, because
It's like, I'm gonna go.
I guess it's also your, it depends on your, how you normally tour the parks, right? Like some people I think would take to that fine. I'm definitely the person who's always like trying to jam pack my day. So to be like,
Right.
oh, I am only going to one park and they close early, right? They have like shortened hours.
Right.
To then be like, okay, I guess I'm going back to the hotel. For me is like, I don't know what to do with myself. But I feel like for some people would be like, oh, that's nice. I get to spend more time at the hotel, you know? So I think it just depends on like your style touring.
It's interesting to be done with the park, or at least feeling like, hey, there's nothing else for me to do with the park. I did everything I need to do.
Yeah.
And then go back to the resort and then hang out at the resort. Now, like, I never stayed at Pop Century. I never stayed there. I never set foot on Pop Century. But it was interesting to go back and then look at it and go, wow, this resort is actually pretty cool. Then go to the pool and hang out at the pool.
Yeah.
And just another level of exploration that
Yeah.
you take for granted. With the less crowds brought less weights. And that is kind of where a lot of those photos where they go, oh, look at the line. The line's really long. But that's where I kind of start mentally checking out. And I know that it's like, that's kind of where the lie begins.
Yeah, because I even, when I look at those, I go, well, it's long because they're socially distancing. Like
Right.
it is physically long, but doesn't mean that the wait is long. Right.
Exactly. So you see that it's long, and then your immediate thought is like, oh my God, this looks like a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a bag of chips, right? So you get a bag of chips, and a lot of it is filled with air. And then you open it up, and then there's not a lot of them in there. They're all at the bottom.
That's a great metaphor.
And the whole time it's a full bag of chips. So I would say, like, last week, I saw someone saying, oh, it's a 60-minute wait for Flight of Passage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's not true. That wasn't true.
Yeah.
Because I waited in that same line that, when they took the picture, they were all the way on that bridge.
Right.
That
That
was
goes
from
towards Africa,
Pandora,
right?
Africa.
Yeah.
But I was on that same bridge, and it took me 20 minutes from that point to ride the ride.
Wow, that's crazy.
You get what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's reported 60 minutes. And then that's kind of where I'm like, well, are they still handing the cards out to people to wait? Because, again, I'm handing you a plastic piece that had my fingers on it
Right.
to a guest who's also going to grab it with their hand. So how is this calculated? How are you calculating the time?
And
Is it a 6?
I wonder how many guests say no. I don't want to take your card.
I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch a card.
Yeah.
Or is certain areas of the wait time like maybe estimated? This is an
Yeah.
estimated 60 minutes. So from the point of where we stood on the bridge on Pandora, if it took me 20 minutes from that point to ride the ride, then is it really 60 minutes? So it's a very, like, quick wait. If you want the full Disney experience, like what things were like back in February,
Yeah.
then I would wait,
Yeah.
because it's not like that. Like what it was in February was like, hey, this is as good as it's going to be,
Yeah.
right?
I was there in
Like, it's just-
December, and I had no idea, right?
like I like I like going like okay, so for like the Boneyard in Dinoland, like that's closed.
Mm.
Um, uh, Primeval Whirl was closed.
Are like
The
the
pre-show,
animal trails open or no?
I didn't get to do the animal trails. I
Hmm.
think they are, but I didn't get my way over there. Is this like the pre-show for Dinosaur, which I really enjoy, that everybody enjoys? They're running the video, but
Pushing you
you
along.
you just push you along. Like
Yeah.
let's keep going right onto the ride, and it's like I didn't even see hello there. Um, like without the pre-show there, like the lines just move. They just move,
Yeah.
and then you realize it's like, okay, well, without the pre-shows, lines are much more shorter. Like they didn't even do the whole Pandora pre-show where the guy's like, "Oh, you can fly,"
Well, I guess
you
that's
know?
a plus.
Yeah, you just move right on, and you're sitting in a banshee. They don't even explain anything, and I'm like, "Well, that was cool," but that
Yeah.
was what picked up. Like that's what picked the pace up in waiting on on that line for
But
Pandora.
I guess to that point, then it doesn't sound like you would recommend. Like it would just be like if you haven't been to Disney or if you haven't been in years, don't go this year because it sounds to
Yeah.
me like you wouldn't get the context of rides. You wouldn't get the full
Right.
experience
If
that
you
you can
wanted the
expect.
fullest experience on all the rides,
Yeah.
it's probably not the best time to go.
Yeah.
If you're like, I just want to go and just be back in Disney and
Yeah.
find some sort of normalcy, absolutely go. Um, I personally like it because if you're a person like, let's say, like Kevin Perger, and you just want to hide your face,
It's a prime
there's
time to
no
do
better way.
it.
Yeah, like because you can wear your face mask, you can wear glasses and a hat, and nobody would know who you were. Like nobody would be like, I don't know who this person is, and you just sneak right in.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I don't know. I thought it was a great time to go to Disney if you want to go for reduced crowds, reduced atmosphere. But it's definitely like not the Disney experience. It's more like
Disney Light.
as Disney as a Six Flags, right? So
That's not selling it though.
if you want Disney as a Six Flags, where it's like this is Disney with rides, but that's it, rides and food. But I think Disney experience is a lot different than like a Six Flags
That's
or
true.
Knott's. It's a
Like even
whole
attractions are different than Six Flags, even if that's all you're going
right,
for. Yeah.
right. That's my 2 cents anyway.
Well, I appreciate. I mean, it's nice to like actually talk to someone who's been is just honest about the experience because, like you said, I feel like you've got things that go in two different ways, right? You've got people who definitely, I think, are a little bit fear mongering, and then there are people who are like, "It's Disney, everything's perfect. What are you talking about?" And it's like, okay, like that doesn't really give me a fair point of view. You know what I mean? Because
Right,
I feel like
right.
there are two sides of like two extremes on the spectrum. Um,
I wouldn't want somebody to be completely fearful of what the park has to offer. If you're, I mean, it's going to be scary, of course. It's a
sure.
pandemic. It's going to be terrifying, but um, it's not what it was.
Yeah.
So that's also something to consider is that if you're going, you're going and it's going to be very reduced from what it was. Not the scariest thing, and it's probably as safe as going to the grocery store. I mean, a lot of people are like, "Well, I feel safer going to Disney than a grocery store," and I'm like, "Well, don't go to your grocery store. Find another grocery store." Like,
Yeah. Why is that happening?
yeah, you got a really bad grocery store if you feel more safe at Disney than a grocery store. I know I can go to my grocery store and still feel just as safe as I did at Disney.
Yeah.
But you know, I if you feel like, hey, I'm going to go to Disney and have a good time, then you're still going to go to Disney and have a good time. But if you're scared, if there's still just a little fear, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, because
You
you
know,
also don't want to ruin the trip for yourself and just feel
right?
like you're anxious the entire time. Then there's no point.
And, and then knowing that like people are like wearing masks, and I think a lot of people wear their masks with a little bit of pride, especially when it comes to like the Disney mask. And I think that is probably like one of the best things about it is that Disney's like, huh, we can make money off the mask.
Yeah.
And if there's any masks that I've bought that I thought were the best were the Disney masks themselves.
Well, I appreciate your honesty and your experience. And before we wrap up, I want you to have a couple of minutes to talk about your channel, which I know has evolved quite a bit this year, but I think has been the stuff that you're doing is great. I love it. I fully support it. But I'll let you talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I would say it's been interesting because it definitely has did a complete 180. I
I think
like
even since last time we spoke, right? Like last time you were on this channel.
yeah, because I was it changed completely. You doing from doing like theme park vlogs to doing like little mini movies to doing like little sketches and stuff like that. And now one thing that I have been really digging deep into is the normalization of racism, and really looking deeply into that has been really interesting because it's like, okay, now you learn like, okay, how did this become so normal in our society, especially when it's been such a problem? And almost I'll say twice a year, does that come up where we as a society go, how do we end racism? And we don't know. But then you see that it's been such a
You've been kind of brainwashed
interwoven.
with it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
crazy.
interwoven in our society, and you're just like, this is crazy that it's been so normal.
Yeah.
I have like a couple right now that I find like are really interesting. So, it's one that I feel like knowing what you go through and what Rob Plays goes through. Like you guys research and research and research, and then you guys put out a video, and then and it's funny because I think about it, and I was like, man, that is so crazy. Like how much like time is done in like researching and writing up a script, or putting together a video, or even doing a voiceover, because a lot of it is like you're not even seeing my face. So doing that is like a new aspect of making videos that I never like anticipated, or I'm jumping into trying to figure out a little bit more on that front. But also just knowing and in researching it for myself and finding, wow, that's crazy to really
It's like
see that.
self-educating, yeah, while you're
Yeah, and
putting
it's
it
like,
out there.
wow.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's so interesting. And it's good. So hopefully, with the racism part, it would be nice to really seg into all different parts of what made things normalized. It's not just, African Americans, it's all cultures. And you can find that it's um, been normal to hate, if I can put it that way,
Yeah.
in all cultures. So when you really see it, you're just like, ooh, um, I feel that.
Yeah.
Or, maybe it's something that you didn't realize before.
I mean, I think it's started some really good conversation. And I think that's where you start, right? I feel like when people say like, well, it's one learning and realize like I didn't know that at all. And like now I feel like that it's kind of mind blowing, but it also like changes the way that you see things. And then to be able to have the conversation around it and like
Yeah,
can I
exactly.
make that decision to stop using a certain phrase or to I think
Right.
it almost all starts a little bit personally and what we decide to do with that information.
Exactly.
I'll put the link to your channel down below, but I highly recommend people take time to watch those videos and educate themselves and have a conversation because I think it's really important. But
It is very important.
thank you as always for being on the show. Miss your
Yes,
face,
Christine.
miss
We'll
hanging
we'll
out in the
we'll,
parks. Maybe we'll do it someday soon.
we'll, we'll
Brave
do
enough.
it again. We'll hang out. We gotta assemble the squad.
Yeah.
So it's like, since I haven't seen you or Rob, or I've seen Dan online, of course.
Yeah.
So we'll all get together soon. I assure you, very soon we'll all hang out.
Sounds good. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video and like it, if you should subscribe to see more, I make a video every single week. I appreciate all of you who tune in. And as always, have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Bye.